Yeah, hello, welcome to this video. This is a rapid game again. 25-10. 25 minutes, 10-second increment. Yeah, I went 1d4 and let's see what we are going to get. g6, e6, c5. Did I play Pearl Hacker before? It seems kind of a known name, but didn't play him before. Okay, I can go d5, which probably gets the Benoni or the Benko, but let's do knight f3 here. Go to an English opening, just for something else. This is an interesting move order idea that I want to investigate in the future. It's rather useful to play this precise position because you can also get it from knight f3, knight f6, c4, c5 and then d4, which is quite useful if you are able to play that move order, as it prevents certain lines from the black side. The hedgehog, for example. I mean, black can still try for a hedgehog via b6 now, but this is not particularly threatening in comparison to other hedgehogs, as I can go f3 and e4 quickly, and this is believed to be rather okay for white. One argument against this particular move order, which is questionable if it's really an argument against it, is the move 4e5, after which knight b5 is threatening knight d6 check, and black will then go d5 for a gambit. Maybe we will see that move. I mean, it's what people quite frequently play here, especially if it comes from that Benko type of move order or Benoni move order as we had here. Yeah, he's going for that. So knight b5. It's the most aggressive continuation, and this kind of fits with the approach of the Benko or Benoni. Yeah, d5 now is the move that they play, and then cd5. It's important to see that knight takes d5 is answered by queen takes d5 and black resigns. Yeah, blundering a whole piece. So after d5, cd5, they play bishop to c5 and play this position a pawn down, let's say, for quick development. However, white has an extra pawn on d5. So it's that's uncommon. That's uncommon. So let's think about this for a moment. What is the idea? I mean, bishop d2, he will not take. This would be strategically very dubious. He will probably play after bishop d2. He will probably play bishop c5. I have b4 then, however. b4, bishop e7, very weird stuff. Of course, I can just play knight 1 to c3. Yeah, that looks rather natural. After a6, I have knight d6 check. And if he castles, I will probably just go a3. Yeah, that's probably the most fluent way to develop. Bishop d2, then bishop e7 didn't look that great. I mean, not like bad for white, but yeah, after knight c3 now, I'm not quite sure how he's going to complete his development here without being settled with that somewhat questionable structure in the center. Yeah, knight d6 now, huh? What is the big deal? Okay, at least I can play that move quickly.
Check.
King e7, I have knight f5 amongst others. Yeah, I will play. Okay, he just takes. And now queen to e7. Okay, this is something that he can do. It is not very attractive, but he can definitely play that. Okay, let's say if I take and go bishop g5, I have this immediate threat of knight d5, which is really awkward already. Yeah, he almost has to play queen e7. I mean, knight to c6 looks rather awkward. Knight c6, knight c6, knight d5 is not yet working, I think. Okay, he's doing this, but I can take on e7 and play bishop g5, and I don't really see what he's doing against knight d5 check. That already is very awkward. I mean, this b6, c7 weaknesses, they are
check.
A huge issue. One of the safer pre-moves, bishop g5. Yeah, well, d6, knight d5, he just loses the house. I mean, this will at least cost a pawn, and a very valuable one, the f6 pawn. I mean, f6 after I've taken, yeah, so the g pawn, it is currently. Yeah, 95, I don't see a move here. Okay, he can retreat, yeah, king d8 or something. King f8, I'm sorry. I can take on knight d5. Yeah, but then I put my knight on b6 and castle long. This is a disaster. Yeah, this one. Here I have g3 as a promising move. I can also just take on f6. I mean, if I take on f6, king takes, knight d5 check. It's I mean, I'm getting to b6 then with my knight, and I'm going to castle long. This is really terrible. g3, however, is also a pretty strong move. Bishop h3 is quite unsettling. d6, bishop h3 check, king e7, knight d5 check, and black totally falls apart. Bishop f6, however, is simple and strong. Bishop f6, gf, knight d5. Rook a7 immediately, knight b6. And then he gets in d6. That is not so clear. So I'm going to go for the g3. That is a good move. Also follows that almost universal logic in chess that if you can introduce a new piece into the game with a gain of tempo, which bishop a3 check certainly looks like, if you can do that, it's almost all of the time it's the best move or one of the best moves. So let's go for it. d6, bishop h3 check, king e7, knight d5 check, king d8. There is some bishop takes c8 winning material. Yeah, I don't really know what his move is here. Okay, so bishop h3, I guess, huh?
Check.
King e7, knight d5 check. Well, that is not very testing. And king to d6. I'm probably going to castle long. Yeah, I'm going to castle long. Anything better even? I mean, it looks so awkward there. No, I mean,
check.
It's ready enough. So where is he going? To c5, yeah? No. Okay, so here I can take f6 and go for knight d5 check. I just wonder, is the immediate knight d5 any better? No, I can take. I mean, that's probably not a good idea to allow. But this is a good thing here, just this and knight d5 check. Yeah, no need to pre-move when we have some time.
Check.
And I'm not really thinking about grabbing on f6 that much. I'm more interested in, yeah, in knight to b6 here. Getting a position where his rook is stalemated there on a7. This is the let's do that. This is the bigger fish to catch. That rook there. Yeah, rook a7. And now, am I taking on d7 with the bishop? I mean, I don't really like to develop his bishop in a way by trading it, but the thing is, it seems completely winning. Bishop d7, he basically has to take it, rook d7, and then this rook on a7 is still stalemated. You can try some a5. Yeah, it still seems pretty strong. I can also start with something like c5. Yeah, there is really no particular point. So I can take on d7 here. If he goes king c7, I can take on c8. So he basically has to... Ah, come on, let's not pre-move here. It's really no need. If he takes... I mean, I can actually also take with the knight and grab a second pawn. It's not too bad. But okay, it just looks right to put that rook on the 7th rank. It's just so strong. And I have a very clear idea. Rook h d1, rook takes f7, rook 1 d7. No, this flows very...
Black resigns.
Yeah, understandably. Yeah, this is a really disastrous position. Okay, let's go back here. Yeah, this line here takes, and now, as I said, e5 is in fact the move that is played most frequently by the aggressive players. The idea is that, yeah, well, he went with his check, which I didn't know. I mean, maybe it is not that terrible, but the normal way to proceed here is d5, and after cd5, as I said, this is not on, loses a whole piece due to that
check
fork trick. So bishop c5 is what they do, and here I think well, d6 is a well-known mistake. After castles, knight c7, black has this reply, and will essentially almost win the game. But white has other ideas, of course. I can go e3 here, or I can immediately go back to play something with g3 here. I'm not I'm sorry, I got a slight cold. I'm not that well informed here. I just wanted to try it out. I think g3 is a move. And black is supposed to have some compensation for the pawn. I'm not entirely sure about it. I mean, this has been a frequent subject of a discussion in Jan Gustafsson's opening videos for Chess24, and Jan keeps mentioning that he believes that white is better here. Yeah, maybe he is. I really don't know that much there, but I wanted to try it out. So
check.
Okay, he gave that check. This and then bishop e7 looked a bit wrong. Here I didn't really felt I have something great. No, I mean, if he gets in d5 completely unpunished, then this is looking rather nice actually for him. And here I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do. Maybe this is a move. Yeah, now d5 is probably not sufficient. Oops, that was a bit much.
Check.
Oops. Yeah, maybe this is an alternative, but I think one knight, knight 1 to c3 cannot be a bad choice. And yeah, he went a6 now, which seems a bit cooperative, let's say. I mean, knight d6 is my idea anyway, and I will sometimes play it. Let's say he goes with knight c6. Even here I can consider knight d6. Maybe I go a3 here rather than that, but a6 is helping me. I wonder, yeah, what is this? I mean, maybe he can castle here. I was thinking that this is something that I can always do, which should be slight advantage at least somehow. In those pawns here, with the pawn on d6, they are slightly weakish. Okay, this was played.
Check.
And here, well, yeah, this is maybe not that terrible. I mean, this is in fact not such a bad development for black. I mean, he can maybe go rook d8, d5 as an idea. And if I check here, which I maybe would have played, I'm not entirely sure, then that knight on f5 can also be a liability. Of course, playing those king moves is not particularly ideal, but yeah, it's not all roses for white either. I mean, the knight on f5 is sitting there to be hit by a move like d5. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to drop back and then go for something like this. I'm not really fearing this in any way, because if black gives up his dark squared bishop, those squares and then pawns, they are very, very weak. Yeah, well, okay, he took there, and after this, I think it already is very, very difficult for black to get some kind of position that he can play. Went here.
Check.
Yeah. And the engine already says white is winning here, plus 1.6. It's a pretty tough verdict for a position that is still equal on material terms. But what is black supposed to do? The engine gives king f8 as the relatively best move. Yeah, it is a disaster, really. Computer wants to go g3, but I can also just take and go knight d5. The thing is, I mean, just imagine this kind of position here. This is a complete disaster. Black is now almost forced to play d6. I mean, otherwise I'll put a rook on d6, and then he's completely paralyzed. So he has to drop one pawn, and then we just continue with this position where white is a pawn up, a healthy pawn up. It's probably already unplayable. G3 is the best according to the engine. That's good. I went with that. Here, yeah, check. Long castles.
Check.
Yeah, that's all number one engine moves up to here. Rook a7 and bishop d7. Yeah, and here the comp is on plus 3.7. Yeah, it is a disaster really. I mean, this is completely paralyzed, and I have very easy moves. Rook d1, possibly taking on f7, get the other rook into the game, and he still he really cannot move. Plus, I'm a pawn up already, and I'm picking up a second or third pawn rather quickly. Yeah, this move here can be a very good idea if you are not such a big fan of the Benoni structures or the Benko gambit. In both openings, black is getting some kind of activity with this fianchetto, and in the Benko, the queenside pressure that white is often sustained to. If you don't really want that, then knight f3 is an interesting option to transpose to these English opening structures. Knight c6, g6. Black has a huge choice here. This is something you need to be aware of. It's not just d5, not just e5. Black can also go e6 or knight c6 or g6. All those moves are decent. I mean, in any case, white has ways to play for an advantage, or I mean test black, let's say, but they're all a little bit different, and as it is typical for the English opening, it is rather move order sensitive. There is really a difference if black plays knight c6 or e6, for example. Yeah, this, for example, is a pretty standard position where white can play g3, a3, various things, but it's a difference if you start with e6 here or with knight c6. Yeah, for example, after e6, and white can play knight c3, of course, but also g3. Here, for example, d5 is also a rather decent move, or bishop b4 is a decent move as well. However, after this, knight c3, this is an entirely different story. There's no d5, there's no bishop b4, but black has not played e6, which means that he can actually go g6 if he likes, and all of a sudden we are in a Moroxy. Very interesting move order issues there. So if you intend to decline the, let's say, Benko and Benoni options here, it's not really a way to reduce your theoretical workload. You still have to look at things, but it leads to entirely different position types, which can be a good choice against the aggressively minded player, because black does not get that aggressive play out of the English normally on the black side. Okay, well, thanks for watching that video.